Yo, what up, man?
What up, my boy? How you?
Man, not much, man.
Yeah,
Work as usual, man.
As always.
Man, how's everything? I guess tell the people your name. And
Oh, man, you already know. For those that don't know, Kai Versuno Tyler, a.k.a. Cloth Talk. You already know the vibes. Music executive, 20-plus years. Label owner, distributor, publisher.
All right.
Yeah.
What does it take to have longevity in the music industry?
Originality, consistency, and drive.
Got you. But, like, on the business side, though, like...
Well, on the business side, you really have to maintain. It's really based upon like connections, right? And relationships. To maintain a tenure in the business, you need tentacles. So with those tentacles, those are like arms, right? So, whether it's Spider-Man or it's a daddy long leg spider, they weaving, and they're actually making their connections and making sure that their relationships stay intact one way or another. And then that person might become an intern in the A&R. Then that person comes an A&R to becoming a president of the A&R. And then from president of A&R, you may become chairman someday. So keeping those relationships aligned are so key, to having longevity in the business.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you coming from a management background.
Sure. Well, artist background for real. I started as an artist way back, like I'm 40 now, but when I was 14, 15, I had my first deal with Sony. Big shout out Hakeem and Muhammad Bell. Their dad was Cool from Kool and the Gang, and then my rap partner, Justin, his dad was Clayton Smith from Kool and the Gang. Gotcha. So we ended up, it was just a music family, and then, we ended up having a deal with Sony, and I started off as a rapper. That's where Verse comes from.
Gotcha.
So I went from there, years up, having a deal, and the deals on the table with Def Jam, shout out JoJo Brim. He was very instrumental in that early on as well, too, because he had Case, and then Kelly Price, and then, Ja Rule, and all the projects that were coming through Def Jam around 97, 98, 99, 2000. Mm-hmm. So that was like around there.
Well, so what made you get into the business side and not in front of the camera?
Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, okay.
Yeah. I say that because, not for nothing, it had to come with a dance. Like, Joe Budden, years ago, even after his heyday, he has, some albums he had put out. And he had this one series that he had called Mood Music. One of the records on there, he was saying, this game used to make you sell your soul. Now it got to come with a dance. And I was like, damn, I look at that in relativeness to Soulja Boy was doing the dance and it was online and it was all about the kids. And I was like, oh man, I'm talking that shit. I'm on bar time, but I ain't dancing. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So yeah, that's what really made me take notice to say, okay, if I'm not gonna be in front, then I need to be the Mac in the back. And it made me think about something that Russell Simmons, said once. He was like, you have to understand the difference of being the Mac in the back and the chump in the front. Not taking nothing away from the artist, but at the end of the day, you are on the front stage. And the guy that's in the back, whether it be Berry Gordy, Lyor Cohen, all the way up, across to Russell Simmons to whomever is now, right? They're in the back.
Right.
And they may be making, just as much or a little bit more, money than the artist in the front. So that's why, it's an old Chitlin circuit term, like chump in the front, Mac in the back.
Got you. So I always hear like the reason people go like to the business side is because of publishing.
Yes,
a lot of people get.
Yes and no. I mean, publishing is just like one chapter in a huge book of music, right?
But it's a pretty big.
It is. No. Listen, no. It is. It's a major thing, right? Let's not take anything away from that. But I notice a lot of artists and just a lot of people that are in the music business, whether it be managers or even promoters, they will go and venture once they learn about publishing,
right?
Because publishing is anything that's put out, it needs to be collected, right? So you're like, oh well, I could just put my name on that record right there, and somebody owe me some money. Yeah, well that's how it works essentially. What if I get 100 artists and do that? What my check look like then? You know what I mean? Whatever. So they started to be like, oh man, I'm off the road. I don't want to promote no more. I don't want to do no day-to-day management shit. I just want to sign producers and attach my name to their publishing, and but you're giving them opportunity. I don't want to make it seem like you are taking something away from them by signing them, because the opportunity is priceless. The percentage is really like par for the course, kind of like a give and go, if that makes more sense than anything. You have to be accessible. In order to be accessible, you got to be seen. And if you're not seen, that means that no one knows that you're there. So if that manager, or i.e. that conglomerate or that umbrella or whomever you're dealing with, is actually giving you a platform to get seen, it's 40% of nothing.
Right. No, really.
You know what I mean? So, that is, a scenario where you pay 20% of something to somebody to get that accessibility. And I think it's priceless. So, yeah, publishing is a vein in the business, a vein that keeps you alive and everyone else on the team, so.
Right. So, have you ever gotten an artist signed? Like, to like a major label or whatever?
Plenty of times. Like, I had a group starting out years back called Mindless Behavior.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I mean, we could start there, and then we can go all the way up to Lil Bam.
All
You know,
right.
right now we could talk about Hozier, one of the biggest artists out of the Midwest. Did an amazing deal with him with Empire. Even producers.
Right.
Big shout out OTF DJ Bands. We went over and did his deal at Sony Publishing. So when you say
Right.
getting people signed, it's like getting them across the finish line. And even
Right.
if they can get across the finish line themselves, they may need a little bit more. How should I say? A little bit more seasoning on it, because then you may be able to reach to get a higher number based upon your relationship. So.
Right. That's what I was gonna kind of get to. Like, what does it take to get an artist signed, and what do you look for in deals to know that it's a good deal?
A lot of times, often not, the times change over time. So, years back, you used to have, you wave a demo tape and hopefully somebody will believe in you, and then they'll jump behind you and give you a platform.
Right.
Nowadays, it's based upon numbers. It used to be like artist and repertoire. That's what it used to be. When
Right.
labels had 20 A&Rs, it stood for artist and repertoire. Now it's been dumbed down to more so analytics and research.
Right.
Or algorithm and rhetoric, like one of my mentors like to say, right? So, but, what I look for overall is originality, right? That's one, because I need to see the contrast in the artist, right? And, in order for the artist to get signed, you don't have to be part of the Me Too movement, so to speak, acting or rapping or looking like someone else. You just have to have your own style. So when you look at like a Tentacion, God bless the dead, or you look at a Uzi or someone like that, normally they probably would have went to the normal record like kind of record pool or record deal structure like years ago, and they might have got turned away.
Right.
Because they had their own fan base and they developed themselves and became, a brand and having a core audience, then it made the label say, I want to get in business with you. So that's the same way I look for artists, to be able to get them signed or to sign them to me, to say, hey, you're original. It's not too many people like you, but you dope as fuck.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, I'm a music fan, so I look for that. And then we look to say, how can we embellish this? How can we align ourselves with it to be able to make it a bigger staple than what it is now? So that gives a statement from an artist from 0 to 50 and an artist that's from 50 to 100.
Right.
So I look for like, just the originality, the contrast, and can I really sell him? Can I sell her? Or do I have to build them up to be sold? And when I say that, it's just, like as a brand, like who's buying that? What are we buying into?
What do you look for in the deal though? Like as far as like
Depends on the deal.
Say we get to Epic Records or Atlantic or whatever, and then you want to compare it to Empire or Human Resources or whatever like that, like and because that's independent to major or whatever like that. We kind of comparing, like when you look at whatever deal when you bring in an artist to that label, it's like what's the difference
in deals?
In deals, yeah.
Well, like I say, I always make relevance to where it used to be, where 180 deals were just regular record deals, and then you had your 270 deals that would participate in, maybe, ancillaries or participate in publishing, Then you had your 360 deal that participated everything around the board. So nowadays, the money business lives in the music business. So the reason when I answer that question, it's like, when I look for a partner, I don't look for a deal anymore. I always advise people to look for a partner, because nowadays it's like giving up your masters and, having to succumb to a lot of the archaic things that used to be years ago. You don't have to do it anymore. So you look for a partner. So you can go to an Empire. You go to an Empire, I'll show you the difference. You go to an Empire, Empire will allow you to keep your masters and say, hey, we just want to license your back catalog and give you a budget to put out whatever your next project is.
Right.
Okay. That is going to be a revenue share deal, as far as 80-20, 70-30, whatever it may be, right, until recoupment. Then I might go to an Atlantic. I go to an Atlantic, say I don't have any numbers, and I just maybe Lon Ray or one of the executives over there believes in me and just thinks that maybe they can build me up.
Right.
So I go in and they might give me $250,000, and they own all of my masters. Right. They're putting another $150,000, $200,000 behind my marketing. Right, they own my masters again, because I didn't come in. I didn't come in with anything. I have no collateral to stand on. You know what I mean? As opposed to a finesse. And the Mob Ties thing, just finesse 2 times. When he came home, he ran his bag, like his notoriety and his visibility up so high that when he went to the Atlantic building, he had the whole label there. Everybody, Julie Greenwald, Craig, they don't come out for people, to get signed. Had whole buildings there. No matter what, I can imagine what that email looked like. Drop what you're doing. I don't care. Everyone needs to come to the New York office. Finesse and Prince Jr. are coming by, and we're signing him. Right. Now, that deal doesn't look like you give up your masters. That deal looks like we want to be in business with you. How can we cross-pollinate? How can we partake in what you're doing? Because your numbers are going dumb. So if we can license that, we'll still make a few $1,000,000. If we got to give you a few million now, hey, we'll do some washout on a write-off, and the rest will look like profit.
Right.
You know, because it's based upon what's going on now.
Right.
You know, so that would be the difference in getting a licensing scenario partnership or a partnership with Empire or a record deal with Atlantic, you know, coming with collateral or no collateral.
Right.
Which they rarely do those deals, but when they do them kind of in a blanket sweep. So let me give you guys an example on this. So there's an app out there called Sodatone. Sodatone was actually originated by a good friend of mine's friend, right? And he sold it to the Warner Group years ago. And what it is a algorithmic app that allows you to see who's surging, see who's going up, you know, so to speak, in YouTube and Spotify. You know, the guy had 3 million streams in 2 days, or he's on this playlist, or you're on that playlist. So guess what happens? The employee at Warner or Atlantic, that's why they sign the most artists, because they get in front of it first. They see it first before you get a chance to see it. So before Interscope can see it, before, you know, Republic can see it, they can see it because they own the technology and they got the patent. Right? Doing chart metrics is out there, but it is nowhere near as detailed as Sodatone. Like, it gets right there, right? So next thing you know, you have a big shout out to my boy Success and all my guys and people over at Atlantic. You'll get them popping your DM. Hey, whatever your name is, you know, such and such from Atlantic, love to connect. You know, oh man, I got Atlantic Records in my
Atlantic,
you know,
do be first.
Hit me up. So you get on a Zoom call. They'll have 4 or 5 people on there, and they'll welcome you, give you a warm welcome. Hey man, we would love to hear some new music. You know, you got some unreleased, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how did you find me? You didn't find me because I'm talented. You found me because my numbers went up. You know what I mean? You didn't have a chance to see talent until you looked at the numbers, or it surged, and then you just looked at the brand and say, oh, okay, he's all right. You know what I mean? Kind of in that space. So, yeah, so with that being said, that's how we're able to attract and how the Warner Group and Atlantic is able to just grab a lot of the new artists up, you know, to be able to sign them to the roster. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that they're playing the game. And I mean,
no, for sure. It's all a game.
Sure.
It's all a game.
Sure, totally.
So we talked about a lot, but like Masters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Masters seems like it's like a something they just it's almost something they holding over your head like nowadays.
You're dangling.
Yeah, it's like, is it, we're gonna give it to you or not? Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Before it wasn't even like a nothing. Mm-hmm. Well, no, we taking your Masters.
Well, we wasn't asking for them before.
No, for sure.
Yeah, because people didn't really understand exactly what they were.
Exactly.
You know, and I guess it was kind of our job to educate ourselves, you know, to say, okay, what is this
of
property?
Of course. I mean,
you know, your voice is intellectual property.
Right.
So, you know, it's real estate.
Right.
So, you know, at the end of the day, when, you know, you record your singles and your albums and you go double platinum and you tour the world and you make a few $1 million and you end up, you know, and you're like, well, damn, you know, who owned my music? You know, like, you came in with nothing though. So like, we're not knocking the labels because they gave you they gave you an advance, you know what I mean, or whatever, and they started your career off. I mean, hey, listen, one thing about it, you know, you can't listen. That's like the pot calling kettle black.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, you didn't want to hold Bank of America liable when they gave you $50,000 loan, but now you want to yell and scream at the record label. They didn't even base it off your credit. They based it off what you were spitting in that microphone. What's that worth? You know, now all of a sudden, oh man, ownership. Okay, we get it, ownership. We understand, we get it, ownership. But the contracts has been structured so archaic where, you know, you have to have a lawyer. When you have a lawyer and you look at these deals that come across, you look at the retention period. It's 16 years, 12 years, 13 years. You don't know what the fuck that is. You don't know what retention period is. You just know the deal lasts for 3 years. Yes, it does. It's a publishing deal.
Right.
But the retention basically said they give you $2 million and they only recoup $800,000, $900,000, and you're in your 3rd year of your publishing deal. They don't care. You run with your deal, but we're still recouping. So that retention, we're still keeping a leash on that, right? So to speak. So that's why I'm always a big fan of having people understand education over information.
Right.
So when you talk about your masters, you know, you actually can talk about and speak about them like, I really want to keep my masters. Okay, well, what you going to do with them? Unless you know you have sync companies. Do you know anybody at sync? Yeah, I know somebody at sync. Back in the day, you didn't. You know anybody do film soundtracks? Yeah, I do. Back in the day, you didn't. So I want to own my masters. So that means when Vincent Staples, one of my artists, Lives from London, LYVES Lives, right? You know, she's on Vince Staples' latest release, which is Ramona Park Broke My Heart. Really, really dope project. Big shout out Vince and the whole team over there. But, you know, track 7 is Sparks Fly. And it's a record that was sampled by the producer, right? And they sampled Live's entire record, right? No Love. And I was like, damn, they took the whole record. They just slowed it down. They made you on the hook. So I'm like, well, we need to get a feature on there, right?
Right.
They paid us like $11,000 to clear the record and also gave us a percentage of the master side, right?
Right.
But the reason is why I'm saying she owns her masters. So it made it easier. You didn't have to go to Alien Music or Ample Sample to get it cleared because we own the master.
Right.
So that's why it's important now people educate themselves on the music that they make if they have somebody to be able to pitch it for them so they can be able to say, hey, you don't have to go in 2 and 3 parties. That's why a lot of sync records don't make it. You know why? Because there's so many people that are on the track.
So many players involved.
The producer is the composer. He is the chef. He is the artist. He's the Basquiat maker. He's the Michael Basquiat. He is the, and he's laying his canvas down. Now the writer, is the one that's, assisting and painting the picture, right? So what happens is that you have producer agreements, you don't have songwriter agreements. Once again, the archaic structure. That's why it comes along.
Yeah, what the mechanical license.
Well, mechanical license is one side because your mechanical license is just due for sales.
Right.
That's cool, but the writer has nothing, doesn't participate in that because they don't participate in sales. They only participate in publishing. So that's why you see some writers like to be named as a producer and a writer. So you get both sides. I want my writer's composition side and I want my publishing side. Artists get it. Producers get it, so the writer should get it as well too. That's how I feel, and a lot of people feel like that way too. One of my business partners, Nick Jarjor, we managed the #1 songwriter in the world, Stara, and
I know what Stara is.
And these categories that he's actually been able to assist in putting in the Grammys and the different award categories for Songwriter of the Year. You know what I mean? Because they weren't getting enough light. When it came down to accolades and I love the producers. I just feel like participating in masters and ownership, I like to thank DistroKid and thank TuneCore and thank Empire and thank a lot of the DSPs and the DIY DSPs because, there's no master ownership included in that. So they set up a new model. So it really kind of disrupted the labels a little bit because that was their whole bread and butter. You have to realize that Mariah Carey's catalog, if she doesn't own her masters and Tommy Mottola still owns it or Sony still owns it, all I want for Christmas is being licensed left and right. Now, if she owns the masters, she'll get 100% of the money, but more than likely she doesn't, right? So you have to look at it in a balance, right, where, hey, do I want to go indie or do I want to go major? That conversation is non-existent anymore because that same indie conversation can have you where the majors are. Used to be, it wasn't like that. You couldn't get on Ellen's Couch or get on The Tonight Show if you weren't with an Interscope or Republic or something
like that. It still don't seem like what indie artist you feel like is getting those opportunities.
Brent Faiyaz.
He's indie?
Yeah, he's indie.
I thought he was like an Interscope or somebody.
No, Brent Faiyaz is signed to Venice. He has his project. Not signed to. He distributes through Venice.
Okay.
Yeah, his team is dope. Like they're dope. Like
he used to be at least.
No, Brent Faiyaz has been independent since Sonder. Sonder, and actually, you speak on that. A2 and D and Brent are all a group called Sonder, and they originally started out where Brent was actually the singer, and the other two were just producers and writers.
Got you.
You know what I mean? But I do know for a fact that they've been fully independent forever. They switched from Venice. They were somebody before Venice. I can't remember who it was, but they were independent. You know what I mean? That was a big thing. Now, when you say big looks, like, you had NLE Choppa. He was independent and getting big looks. NBA Youngboy, he was independent and getting big looks. So they
Cash Money. He was Cash Money.
Now.
I thought he was with. I've been thought he was with Cash Money.
No, well, Youngboy started out, way back. He had United Masters and like a lot of the NLE Choppa come out of that camp as well too. But these were guys that were surging. Once again, they had developed their own fan base and allowed NLE Choppa to go over and do a $40 million deal with Warner. So it's just like about visibility and it's like about having that space and, and still keeping some master ownership. So you don't have to give up the total master, you know what I mean? You have to negotiate that. The bigger the bag, the less collateral, the more collateral, right? It's like the more collateral, the better the bag, right? The less collateral, the more attachments the bag has.
Right.
So if you don't have that much collateral, like, yeah, we own your masters and we're going to give you this $2 million, but you ain't really coming in with nothing. And we paying for everything. As opposed to me coming in, I got 500,000 monthly listeners. I got 8 million streams on my top 5 records a piece. What you want? I ain't giving up my masters. I give you 20% of my masters. I need $3 million. And I don't want to do one album deal. You can write your own check at that point. But you can't write your own check when you got nothing. But the good thing about it is that resources, visibility, moments, popularity, popping. That's it.
Right. It ain't really that's it because
Yes.
how much money does it take?
That's what I'm saying. But no matter how much money it takes, watch this. No matter how much money it takes,
All right.
that's it. You know what I'm saying? When I say
Well,
that,
well, that's fair.
yeah, that's the only thing I'm saying. Like, I mean, you have kids that come out of communities and rich families, who fucking put $1 million in the shit and they don't go anywhere.
That's
But
too.
guess why? They don't go anywhere because they connected with the wrong people. That's the reason why I say the resources have to be valid. So if I'm all right, so I got $20 million and I'm a steel company owner and I got a daughter and she wants to sing. What am I going to do? I'm going to go seek out my friends who really do this. I'm not going to go mess with the in-between middlemen that could put me with this person and that person. I'm going to tap in with real consultants, and I really want to tap a real president of a label, a real manager, and I don't want him to manage my daughter. I just want you to give me the cheat code like you do it. I need a direction to where you do your ads, I go to Jen's the Guru. Okay, where you do your playlist, and I go over here to this person. Okay, I'm paying you $5,000 a month for that. I need to know that. Because I'm going to spend $25,000 in the studio and not even have one record. I'm going to go meet this middleman right here that says he can do something for me, pay him $7,000 a month and not get nothing.
Right.
So that's what I mean. Like,
no, I get what you're saying.
That's all. What I mean? Like, a lot of people, they have the connections and then no resources.
Right.
Then resources, no connections.
Right.
So it's like nightmare, to a daydream. Like if you got your eyes closed, it's like you think about it, it's like, you're doing a lot of action without a vision. You know what I mean? That's just like a nightmare, driving in a car with eyes closed. You know what I mean? But then it's like, you got your vision. You see it all. Bro, I can see it. Yo, we blown. We're going platinum. We're going to do 200 million streams. You see it all, right? So guess what? You got vision, but you ain't acting on it. So it's like if you got your guy over here that can possibly want to be an investor, or your guy over here has a studio and you really want to get it to work, then you can make it work. But you just have to activate. And a lot of people just don't. So that's why they remain where they are.
Yeah, no, that's definitely real. So, but with these masters, though, I'm thinking that something's about to change, that the masters aren't going to be as important.
Masters always important.
I mean, I know I'm to my ass. Like something, you see how the NFTs are coming and all that. I ain't, and I haven't heard too much about the NFTs as of recently.
But
yeah, but I feel like they're trying something. It's almost like the Napster and all that stuff.
So the good thing about it is that with the master conversation, right? Like I think this will kind of close that gap of understanding. When Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Truist, and all the banks across the nation, they're implementing now where your BMI, which is called your PRO, that houses your properties, that is going to be used as a credit. That is going to be used as collateral. That is going to be used for you to be able to go get a loan from the bank. So masters are very important because guess what? The money business has entered the music business now, and they get it. They got time to sit. Why do you think they give somebody $30 million for a catalog and spend 25 years getting the rest of their money back? It's cushion. Who got time to wait like that? If I give you $30 million, I want my money back next month because I don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Like that to give away. Respectfully, right? So this is another thing. They go on, and they're like, okay, $25 million. They don't let you know, of course, that in 23 years, and this is facts, that in 23 years, I believe it may be 24, but the crowd can correct me, but it's there, that legally your masters come back to the original owner after that 23rd year, right? So yeah, you could somebody pay like Future, for example. He got a lot of kids. Great. He sold his masters $70-80 million. But 23, 24 years from now, they're coming back to him. They might only be making $10,000 a year or $20,000 a year at that point, but who cares? That still have ownership of that, and there's going to be a multiple to be put on that as well too. So yes, masters, I don't think they're going to become less important. If they are, that means they're less important to people who just don't know. And then in that case, then yeah, they're less important because you don't know what to do with them anyway. So, like Lupe Fiasco said something in an interview. He was like, yo, I remember Leo Cohen said something to me years ago, like, what you want your masters for? What you going to do, carry them around in a suitcase? No, he was making perfect sense because if you don't know what to go do with your masters, what you got them for? Let us work them. We know all the companies. We're going to feed them to all our people, and then you're going to be able to show up on a new Top Gun movie. Then you're going to show up on a new Bourne movie. Then you're going to show up on a new Mission Impossible movie, and you might get $50,000 a record.
Right.
But you're going to split it with us because we don't have to master. So here's 25 for you, here's 25 for us. In syncs, there's two different sides, publishing side and master side. So if the sync pays 7 aside, you're going to get 7, and 7 is going to go back to your recoupment for your pub deal.
Right.
I mean, that's how they work because they got you the placement. Without them, they felt you wouldn't have gotten it because they have a sync department that runs a bunch of shows or liaisons to a bunch of shows, and that's your up. But then once again, you need to make sure you have the relationship there to be able to have people say, let me push you forward, because it's like 90,000 creatives signed over here.
Got you. No, that's real. So, do you feel that there's like negativity? But obviously, there's negativity surrounding 360 deals.
Mm-hmm.
But would you do a 360 deal with a label, like to, if it makes sense? Cause if you talk to an independent artist, that's the thing. It's like I'm not doing no deal. They gonna try to do a 360.
But that's because the 360 has become such an evil term.
Right.
I don't believe that it should be looked at as evil. And I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I'm an artist,
right,
and I come with nothing once again, right? And now here I go wanting to call my shot. You can't call your shot. Look, the person, and there needs to be a main person to explain to a lot of the youth and even the business now. 360 deals are not the devil. 360 deals were made so people can make money again. No one in the record business was making money at one point when artists and albums went from selling 700,000, in the first week to selling 20,000. Right? So it's like, oh shit, Freeway only sold 160? Oh no. Oh, this shit is crumbling. It's crumbling. Right at that point it was crumbling, right? Because they were like, okay, well, what are this physical units? FYE's closing down. Sam Goody's closing down. All these record stores are closing down nationwide. How can we get our product to the people? Man, they got this thing called the smartphone now. Oh yeah? What's that? Got everything on the phone. Matter of fact, Trey and them just did something called Apple called Beats Music. Really? Yeah. We're getting ready to buy it. Apple, we're getting ready to go in. We're going to merge everything, put it together because it's a new day. Like, oh shit. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how we're doing it now. So to be into that space, it's a difference now, the way it used to be. It's so different. But it's the same. It's so different. But you have people operating off the older mantra because they're not educating anybody. Let them know, hey man, listen, nobody's buying albums anymore. Everybody's streaming. Oh shit. Well, when y'all fix the paperwork to mirror that, we didn't. Then how are we getting paid? We need to fix it. Well, can somebody get to fixing it? You know what I mean? So we can get our check. And that was the time early on. And you have to realize these numbers and payouts were made by somebody, to say, okay, this is where this gets even, and this is where you get $3,800 from Spotify. Why should I get $3,800 from Spotify? Why? Why can't I get $7,000? Explain to me why. But nobody can, and at the end of the day, it moves too fast for you to try to get learning on it, and you can't change it. It's already in the system. I don't even know the person who makes that up. And I sit at the highest level, and I don't know the person who even makes that number up. To say, okay, we're going to pay you $4,200 every million streams. Who made that up? Because I remember before, when we were making albums, it was 9 cents a record on an LP.
Yeah, I remember.
And you had a max of 11 records that you would put in, you had a max of 11 records that you can get paid for. The rest were just, Outkast at 17, 18, 19, all these.
Oh, they weren't getting paid for anything after 11?
No. After 11, you get 98 cents max. That's our payout. You sell 1 million copies, you don't get $1 million. After your manager takes his cut, because back then your manager would eat in all your record sales and everything, so they'll be included in that. So after the manager takes their cut and you pay taxes and et cetera, then you might be left with $450, $580, maybe.
That's crazy.
But that's the way it works. So people will always try to sell 5-6 million records so I can go on tour. So I sell 5 million records, I put $3 million in my pocket, and then I go on tour and hopefully make another $3-4 million. And now I'm surviving off 6 or 7 million in expenses wise, right? I'm just making money, but then I have my expenses. And here comes the house in LA, and then the house in Jersey, and then, entourage, and my cousin, and then my niece that don't do nothing. And you know what I mean? And then you're looking like, okay, I need to go back on tour. Oh, man, I need to get some branding deals. Hey, man, I need to get in a commercial. Because back then, it wasn't like that. You had Michael Jordan getting in Wheaties commercials, but you could never imagine someone like Saweetie, I say someone like her because she's a rapper.
No, I
think she's having a McDonald's meal. So it's showing you that the culture has,
it's like G-Dep or some shit back then.
Yeah, it's like, what? You would never get G-Dep a deal with Popeyes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just respectfully, but they had to say, you know what?
Right.
This is culture, and this is the way it's shifting now. And we need to become a part of it. And that's what big business said. That's what Fortune 500 companies said. We need to become a part of it because the days of Metallica and the days of Pink Floyd and the days of having Americano music be placed in a lot of these, and brands, people like to follow what's cool. We're selling sauce, we're not selling corn.
Right. Simple. No, that makes sense. So when you look at what Cardi B go and do, I think what she went like platinum the first day or some shit like that. Like, how does that work? Like,
As far as what?
so from my understanding is the single sales contributed to the album sales, and the single went diamond. So somehow
The album with
the album was already platinum or
Platinum.
some shit like that.
All right, so this is how it works. So like I know it gets confusing. So what happens is that when artists drop an album, or our artists are looking to drop an album, and of course we originally start off with the single, which was like the Bodak Yellow.
Right.
Bodak Yellow came. The album came like a while after that because they waited for the record to go crazy, and then the album came some time after that. So the reason because the record's on the album, right? So let me share this with you. So when the album comes out, and even though it's attached to the album, the single has done 2 or 3 million already. Guess what? When the album come out, you got people who are just playing the album on shuffle. So Bodak Yellow is getting played again, but it's getting played in that package right there. So they put those sales with the album, because the album has to get streamed a certain amount of times over and over. And how many times did Bodak Yellow get played? It didn't get skipped. It wasn't like, I heard that record already. No, it's on shuffle. People just listening to the album. So that's why I was able to get to Diamond because, the record was already selling prior to the album coming out. Same thing like in a deluxe. You release a deluxe album after your original album, it sells a lot more because all the records, that's why you have to have, you ever notice this on a deluxe? You have the original album and then you have the extra tracks. Because in order for it to count correctly, you have to have the same tracks on that deluxe album that you have on the original one, plus the new ones.
Got you.
See what I'm saying? So now it looks like double sales, you know what I mean? Which it really is because people are playing the deluxe album. They're not playing the original anymore, but they're playing the deluxe album, but it still attributes to the first album as well too. Because it's not a separate album, it still goes in one pocket. So that album sold 1 million before the deluxe came out, and deluxe came out and did 2 million, and I did 3 million off that album.
Right. Man, that shit deep. It is. It's a fucking incredible game because I thought about the Jay-Z shit when I think he sold his album to Samsung or something like that. And he was platinum before he even dropped the album or some shit.
So this is how it works, right? You can do, like Jay it was a monumental thing, big shout out Steve Stout. Like I kind of model my business after him when it comes to, his branding business and, with translation and, how he actually cross-pollinates so many different brands, of course, with the culture.
Right.
But when I say that with the Samsung scenario, it was a little different because when the phones come out, they're preloaded.
Right.
So they're preloaded with the Black Album already. How many phones are we selling? You know what I mean? We're selling 1 million phones. All right, great. Got a million albums going out on this thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that, right? So yes, I can actually give the album away for free. It didn't come with all the phones. It came with the first batch of those new phones.
Right.
So when Jay-Z actually attached himself to that, it was like, okay, hey man, I'm already platinum. When y'all come out with the phone, you're shipping 1 million phones ASAP. Them phones are going to sell out the store because it's the new model.
Right.
And that's the reason why it wasn't like they bought 1 million copies from him. It was like he participated in they participated in the revenue share. You know what I mean? So yeah, he went platinum the first day, of course, because look how many phones is getting released on Tuesday. How many phones are going out? 2.5. How many got Jay-Z on it? 2 million. Done deal.
Damn, that's genius. Where do you see the future of music?
Man.
Because, like I said, it's ever changing right now. Like we done seen this shit go up, down, left, right in the past 2 years.
Sure. The future of music is gonna continue, music wise. Now in the next 18 months, whatever, 2 years, 3 years, is gonna continue to be a wasteland. And when I say that, it's going to be a wasteland, like a big wasteland. Like, you have every part, every piece of garbage, debris, everything that's all out, right? It's a trash pile. Not saying everybody's trash. What I'm saying is a trash pile that's so compiled, only one place you can keep it is the wasteland. So you might see a little shiny piece, sticking out over here about 2 miles to the left or, whatever. That might be Dirk. Then you might see a shiny piece sticking out over here 1 mile to the right. It might be Drake, because they're visible, right? You just have to do the best you can do as the time moves forward to stamp your brand and cement your shiny piece so they can see you. So the music is just going to an oversaturated place, but in order for you to be singled out, you gotta be different. And you have to shine your light.
You think there's gonna be superstars again?
Sure.
Or do you think they are superstars now?
They're superstars now, but in a different mantra. Like Lil Uzi Vert is a rap superstar.
Right.
I feel. I think Post Malone is a rap
See,
superstar.
he came out 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah, but I think Drake's a rap superstar. I think
He came out 10 years ago.
Nicki Minaj, rap superstar.
Definitely 10 years ago.
But when you right nowadays, but let me say this. So nowadays, recently, when you start talking about rap, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Now, music superstars, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of music superstars that's, like, say, the pop era. Even Ariana Grande was 10 years ago. Okay, cool, we get that. But it's not Christina Aguilera years ago. You know what I mean? Like that. So I just feel like it is going to be in a space where superstars are going to become a little bit less shiny, but there's still going to be superstars there because there's so many people living in one building.
Got you.
There's only going to be so many stars.
Got you. No, that's real.
Building, you know what I mean? So,
no, that's real.
There I go.
Man, but I appreciate you coming out, man.
You already know.
Yeah,
that's right. Anytime I can educate is good.
Yeah, I'm about saying this is one of them things that we have, like, we can have the same people on, like, just different times, because it's really just conversation. It ain't really
like we got the to be continue. We got a trilogy probably coming. It's a lot to dig into, and I think that it's exciting too. And I appreciate what you guys are doing, actually giving out the education and giving people a fun place to come watch, and look and entertain themselves while they're learning. That's the reason why a lot of people dropped out. It wasn't fun. School was like boring. So it was like, create an audio book. But I get tired of listening to that. Keep me spicy. I need to be in.
Right, fast. So, and they need to hear it from the people too.
That's
like it's cool if I can say some of this shit.
Yeah.
And I can just talk to the camera.
Sure. But having good experience.
It's like here's a guy with the same success, more success, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Always be the dumbest person in the room.
Right.
Be the dumbest person in the room, just so you can learn. I've always been like that. I know I know a little bit about a lot now. I'm semi-smart, I like to call it, right? But I'm always a sponge, and always looking to absorb not just the educational energy, but more so what the future holds. You know what I'm saying? So it's really good.
Well, man, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, homie. No doubt. Hey, man, listen, anytime. I'm always about that big love. Know that.